Hey, today we're going to explore some of the focal points for breathing in yoga, and we're going to explore that in a guided breathing practice. I'd suggest to come to a seated position. You can maybe lift the hips a little, so you're giving a bit more space for the knees to drop down. And if it's not super comfortable to sit on the floor, feel free to try this posture out also in a chair. You can rest the hands on the thighs, and then you're going to start to slowly close through the eyes. Now, particularly when we're working on breathing techniques, also known in yoga as pranayama, we're wanting to allow the upper body to have as much space as possible so that we can really kind of breathe effectively. So see if you can allow the weight of your hips to sink down and be heavy. You're lengthening up through the spine. And you might have the hands resting on the thighs, arms nice and long here to just create that little bit more lift and space. Now, the first thing you want to start to do is see if you can allow your breath to move in and out through the nose. So you're just focusing on allowing the breath to move through the nostrils. And we're going to start, our first kind of focal point for the breathing is to allow the breath to become a little slower and a little longer. So you're inhaling through the nose. You're seeing if you can start to extend, lengthen the breath. And then you're exhaling again through the nose, extending, lengthening the breath. And we'll just do this a few rounds. So inhale, nice, slow, steady breath. And then exhaling, again, extending, lengthening through your breath. And you're seeing if you can pretty much work on allowing the inhale and exhale to be about equal length. Usually, naturally, our exhale's that little bit longer than the inhale. So if you're kind of counting, you might be counting in, 2, 3, 4, and then counting out 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can just be continuing allowing that breath to be slow, to be long. And the thing you just want to watch here is you're wanting to lengthen the breath out, but not kind of at the expense of feeling strain, tightness, or this feeling of kind of having to rush into the next breath. So there's this sense of ease. There's kind of a sense of slowness also as you reach the end of the inhale. You might even find a very slight pause before you move to your exhale. And we'll just continue this for about 10 rounds. So slowly inhaling, slowly exhaling. If your mind wanders elsewhere, you can just be bringing it back to concentrate on lengthening the breath. Staying here 5 more breaths. And then we're going to move on to a second focal point that's a little bit more on focusing on the depth of the breath. Now, you can imagine this a little bit like if you're watching a baby or an animal like a cat or a dog breathing, you might notice really their whole belly and torso moves with the breath. And that's a little bit what we're also looking for when we're working on this. So to get a little bit of feedback, it can be nice if you just rest one hand on the belly and one on the chest, because then you'll be able to feel that movement kind of against the hands. You can once more start to close the eyes. And then on the inhale, you're going to expand the belly a little. So belly draws towards the hands. You're lengthening up a little. So chest is lifting up towards the hands. And then on the exhale, you're going to start to allow the chest to sink a little. We're really allowing the air to move out of the body and allow the belly to draw slightly back away from the hands. Inhaling again, expanding the belly towards the hands, allowing the chest to lift up here, lengthening. Exhale, allow that chest to sink back down, allow the belly to draw slightly back. And then we'll just continue this for again about 10 breaths. So inhaling, finding that expansion, that length. Exhale, allow as the air exits that feeling of kind of contraction, drawing back. And then seeing if you can kind of combine these two focal points. So in addition to finding that depth in the breath, see if you can also explore at the same time to still find that length and that slowness. And we'll do this a few rounds. So inhaling, nice slow breath, breath expanding to the belly, up to the chest. And then exhaling slowly, chest sinking, belly drawing slightly back. And just continuing this for about 10 rounds. And for the last few rounds, it might feel nice to just drop the hands back down to your thighs and see if you can keep allowing the breaths to not only lengthen, but also expand on the inhale and contract back down on the exhale. And we'll do this 5 more rounds. Just coming to your last round, that focus on the breath. And then we'll just take a few rounds releasing all control from the breath. So you're just allowing your natural breath to come back again. Staying here in stillness. And then you can start to slowly open the eyes again. So yeah, I hope these couple of focal points of breathing in yoga are helpful. And they're pretty simple to understand, particularly the lengthening, kind of slowing down of the breath. That feeling of depth and the movement in the belly and chest might take a little bit more sort of practice and focus. So if you're not getting that immediately, I'd suggest keep trying to explore that and kind of see how that progresses over time. And yeah, this practice can be done, of course, like we were doing now, just sitting in stillness, either on its own or as part of a sort of longer yoga practice. But this breathing technique is also something you can also experiment a little bit when you're actually doing the different yoga poses. So see if you can try to allow that depth and that length also as you maybe practice sun salutations, as you move to your standing poses, or to those more difficult postures to breathe in, like twists or back bends. And as best as you can, you're just trying to keep remembering to come back to the breath and focus on that. I've got quite a few other videos, both breathing in your physical yoga practice and also practicing pranayama, so more this kind of seated formal breathing technique. So feel free to experiment with some of those other techniques and practices if you enjoyed this. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time. Bye.